Colleagues, it's an honor to join you in proclaiming the third week of January 2022 to be Slavic and Eastern European Heritage Week. Before we turn to today's presentation, I'd like to take a moment to share my perspective on why Slavic and Eastern European Heritage Week is important to the city of Portland. Now, there are many reasons to pause and celebrate the contributions Slavic and Eastern European communities have made to Portland. We could talk about the contributions our Slavic and Eastern European neighbors have made to Portland's culture, or we could celebrate the contributions Portland's Slavic and Eastern European communities have made to our city's economy, or we could honor the contributions Portland Slavic and Eastern European communities have made to our city's civic and public life. But this year, when I reflect upon the moral meaning of Slavic and Eastern European Heritage Week, I keep returning to a different theme. This year, Slavic and Eastern European Heritage Week resonates with me because this moment reminds all of us that the United States is a nation of immigrants and Portland is a city of immigrants. For example, today, around 50,000 Slavic immigrants live in the Portland metro area. The first wave of Slavic immigrants arrived in Oregon in the 1960s and settled around Woodburn, Oregon, where they tended to take up farming. A second wave of Slavic immigrants arrived in Oregon in the 1980s. This group came to Portland seeking religious freedom. They tended to settle in East Portland, especially around the Foster Powell and Gateway neighborhoods. Our Slavic and Eastern European neighbors have been a driving force behind East Portland's resiliency and renaissance. And as Portland continues to recover from the social and economic wounds caused by COVID, I'm reminded that Portland needs our Slavic and Eastern European communities' ingenuity, innovation, and partnership more than ever. Colleagues, that's why I'm glad that this council is taking a moment to remember and recognize the contributions our Slavic and Eastern European neighbors have made to the city of Portland. That is what Slavic and Eastern European Heritage Week is all about. And here to tell us more about Slavic and Eastern European Heritage Week, we have Svetlana Hedin, a founding member of the City of Portland's Slavic Empowerment Team. Svetlana, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Maps. Good morning, commissioners and the mayor. My name is Svetlana Hedin. I'm here as a founding member of the Slavic Empowerment Team and co-chair of the Slavic Advisory Council. Slavic Empowerment Team is part of the Diverse Empowered Employees of Portland. This is our 5th annual proclamation, and we are very proud of it. We are proud to take a moment to honor and uplift members of Slavic and Eastern European community living in the greater Portland area. We are here to give a voice and recognition to this unique and beautiful culture that makes our city more diverse and empowered. I would like to recognize Irene Konev, who was the inspirational and instrumental leader to identify that there was no proclamation for our Slavic community. She gathered our community to walk us through the formation of this proclamation in 2017. She has coordinated and led the Slavic and Eastern European Heritage Week proclamation with the mayor's office, council clerks, and other city officials for 5 years. I also would like to thank Tamara Burkovskaya for translating the proclamation into Russian. Today we have 3 speakers that are going to share their stories. I'll introduce all 3 of them, and then first of the speakers will share his stories first. So Timur Holov is a prominent community leader and a managing partner of the Slavic Family Radio and Afisha magazine. Timur serves on the board of the local nonprofit called Slavic Community Center of Northwest, which helps immigrants from the former Soviet Union better integrate into their new life while preserving their cultural heritage. The second speaker is Irvan Ivanovich Bubic. Arrived from former Yugoslavia as a 2-year-old, He has graduated from OHSU School of Medicine and is in his second year of residency and is pursuing a field of emergency medicine. And a third speaker is Tamara Burkovskaya, a community leader, English-Russian translator, and a former member of the Slavic Empowerment Team and a member of the Slavic Advisory Council to the Portland Police Bureau. I now invite Timur Holov to share his story. Thank you.
Yes. Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Mayor Wheeler. My name is Timur Holov. I'm an immigrant from Tajikistan. During the 90s, a bloody civil war took place. Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Mayor Wheeler. My name is Timur Holov. I'm an immigrant from Tajikistan. During the 90s, a bloody civil war took place in my country. Tens of thousands of lives were lost. At one point, we had to help my aunt flee with her belongings in a train boxcar across many countries to the Ukraine. This wasn't new to our family. During the Second World War, my grandmother and her family were relocated from Ukraine the same way. Most of them ended up moving back, but we were lucky enough to immigrate to the United States. We came to Portland in September of 1998. I remember that within a week, I was walking through the halls of Gregory Heights Middle School. Many people can't imagine the shock that goes through the teenager's head when they see the difference between schools here and schools in other developing countries. Not only that, but inability to speak, understand leads to tremendous emotional stress. Sometimes that stress can lead to many other issues. I can't say that it was easy. Racism, name calling, and bullying was happening a lot. Phrases like "go back to Russia" were heard almost every day. As Slavic community grew, things became a little easier as more teens came to local schools. Unfortunately, more people led to more issues. When I was finishing high school, there was a lot of talk in the community about drugs and teenagers from Christian and non-Christian families becoming addicted. Personally, I lost two of my cousins and a brother-in-law to opioid crisis. In 2004, community didn't have Slavic radio or content-rich magazine. We had a few magazines, but those were just platforms to sell advertisement and didn't have any valuable content. When I started my work at Afisha, we wanted to have a platform where people can share valuable information in order to make the lives of others better. As many of you recently found out, information can kill and information can heal as well. What sets our platforms apart is that we source our information locally. We work with local community leaders and organizations that provide us with valuable content to the community. During the pandemic, we worked with doctors and some very prominent community leaders to share important information with the community about the coronavirus and resources that are available. I truly believe that through our work, we helped many people make informed decisions and potentially saved many lives. As far as my work with Slavic Community Center of Northwest, the one of only few truly grassroots nonprofit organizations in the region. It has been on the front lines since the start of the pandemic. Through our work, we were able to provide the community with PPE, culturally specific food, utility, and rent assistance. We put together multiple outreach, testing, and vaccination events to serve the community. Every year, we put together the Portland Slavic Festival, which became the staple of East Portland, which we know is a desert when it comes to community events. Having such event is very important, not only for the Slavic community, but also for East Portland, as it brings people from all over the region and neighborhoods. It serves as a platform for local artists and outreach platform for many organizations. A lot of work is being done by only a handful of organizations that serve the Slavic community. I would like to take a moment and say how important that the city and other government organizations pay close attention and provide necessary support to the grassroots organizations that truly understand the community needs and offer culturally specific support. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank the Slavic Empowerment Team, Irene Konev, Tamara Burkovskaya, PBOT, Office of Community and Civic Life, Portland Parks and Recreations, and all of the state and city partners. Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Thanks. Commissioner Mapps, was there one other individual, or does that complete the presentation?
I am not sure. I believe we have other speakers today. Is that correct, Svetlana?
Yes, we have a second speaker, Irvan Ivanovich Bubic.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for that lovely introduction, and thank you for inviting me to speak at this proclamation. I'm actually calling in from San Diego, California, where I'm currently working in an ICU. And I just sort of wanted to take a moment to go over my circuitous route by which I ended up here. So I'm also an immigrant. I moved to the United States when I was just before my second birthday. Before that, I was born in Belgrade, Serbia. My mom is Serbian, my dad is Bosnian. So kind of during the height of the war, they couldn't really live safely or comfortably in either of those places. So first ended up in Austria, and then applied for a sponsorship, and then just by a fortunate coincidence ended up in Portland, where our sponsors welcomed us into their home. I grew up in Southwest Portland. I went to Maplewood Elementary School, and then Jackson Middle School after that, and then Wilson High School. So all kind of Southwest Portland. Towards the end of high school, I actually lost my dad to cancer. So I didn't have any plans on whether I was going to college or what I was planning on doing after that. Ended up applying to one college and went to the University of Montana actually with the intention of studying English. I was an English teaching major when I first started. Eventually transitioned to English creative writing, and I'd sort of always been interested in sciences growing up in high school. So once I learned that you could be pre-med and have any major, I kind of started slowly adding back those science classes, biology, chemistry, volunteering, shadowing physicians in Montana, and slowly worked my way back around to medicine, which brought me to OHSU, where I graduated a couple years ago in 2020. Initially had the intention of studying oncology and specializing in oncology, but after doing all of my clinical rotations, decided that emergency medicine was actually going to be a better fit for me. So again, applied for residency pretty much all over the West Coast and ended up in San Diego, where I'm in my second year of emergency medicine. Currently, like I said, I'm on an ICU rotation. Definitely seeing a lot of COVID everywhere. And then after my emergency medicine residency, I plan on doing a subspecialty fellowship in pain management. And then ideally moving back to Portland at some point. So just in brief, that's sort of my life story. Again, thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak at this. And I'll turn it back over to you.